to explain the Pesach, that's not the other way. Chaysim bebaruch, that's matbeya aruch. It's because of the ribuy tzimtzumim, so it has to be sealed. It has to be a chaymas tchum, a chaysim, that the yenika should not end up in klippa because it's tremendous tzimtzumim. That's matbeya aruch. Matbeya aruch means that a lot of kelim, a lot of tzimtzumim. In a word, say the shtalshalos. Matbeya kotzer is the gilui varich, and that doesn't need a chaysem. He said so far. Why? And actually not so far. He already added that. But initially he said that arich is because lo yegur chara, klip has no shaykhs there, so therefore there's no need for a chaysem. Why is there need for a pesach bebaruch? Baruch means amshacha, because be'etzem arich is hiding ishtalshalus, so it has to be, as it were, a pa'ula to be nimshach in ishtalshalus. But then he said that the pesach bebaruch benegeya to arich, which is matbeya kotzer, is also negeya to forestall amshacha, or rather yenika to klippe. And that's because of the other extreme. Dafke because kachashecha ka'ira, and that para is yoinig. It gets its nourishment from the oiref. The word oiref is oisis para. Oiref meaning the nape of the neck. And para means it's periya kol nahirin, all the lights are revealed. So dafke because he's fastened there, lodged there as it were. So you can get a yanika because there's a medarag of kachashecha ka'ira. So therefore the initial baruch, not the chsima, but the initial baruch is also not just amshacha, but amshacha to kedusha. But as we'll see, it's a lo pashut. All right, so that is the beer bepnimius and yonim of a matbeya kotzer and matbeya aruch. Why one is only Pesach bebaruch and the other one is Pesach v'chaysim bebaruch? Then he was masbir further. What's the meaning of baruch? So baruch is bracha, amshacha. The world is created with the letter Beis dafke, as we quoted from the Zohar and the Medrash, because it's oisis bracha, not aleph, which is oisis or. Even though aleph is a remez and aleph is shaloyla, and aleph is a remez and arich. But as we just finished saying, there could be a nikah. So therefore, it has to start with a base, has to be pesach bebaruch, that there shouldn't be a nikah. Once that is in place, there comes the chidush, that once it's damshacha pnimius, and Klippa knows its place, because we know its place. So then there can be damshacha of anoicha v'ali kecha, damshacha of the aleph. He connected this to Purim, that Haman wanted to exploit this level of arich. That's the adela yada, kachashecha ka'ira, where Baruch Mordechai, again, the diak is Baruch Mordechai, and the diak is Orur Haman, the aleph, are equal. It's talking that way, that level. The chiddush is that no, that it's nimshech, it's dafke Baruch Mordechai, and it's nimshech where in kedusha, that the Eibishter's presence is revealed dafke in kedusha, and Klippa and Haman are rejected and destroyed. So now we started this dalit already. Yeah. So now we understand. We'll start again. Now how far we got? Not very far. The original question: how could Amen be greater than Mevarech when there's no Amen without a Mevarech? Mevarech is the mashpia. Amen, the receiver responds. The listener responds. Now we have the answer. The inyan abrach is ois beis. Shezel pesach bebaruch. That is matbeya aruch, which begins with the baruch. That's tchilas aveda. Lacher is a yesh inyan hamidus amein. But once that hamshacha is nimshach in kedusha, then we can be mamshich inyan of amein hiding ishtalshalos. This is similar to the Medrash actually says that the letter Aleph was Kaira Tagar, protesting before the Eibishter. HO-OINEH, you didn't start the Torah with me. Until it was pacified over 2,000 years later. Could even be the Eibishter told me your time will come. There's a whole avodah required before. The avodah is avodah of Baruch, the avodah of Seder, Mesudar, and Pnimius. And then can be the Amshocha of the Aleph, of an avodah which is the Mayim Medit of Akbala. So that's similar to the Psicha Beis Aleph Adibis Alach Risheshna Psicha Bebaruch Ad Aschola Sabriya Beis Beis. So first creation had to begin with. We'll take it would take the millennia to get to the Amshach of the Is Aleph. Binyan was up to here, I think. So Inyan is Sheklol, in Abracha, who Baduk, in Amelchama. Yeah. This was another question he asked that the Marshal given in Gemara to explain the GODOL, HO-OINEH, Yosim, and Mavarech is that the Geborim and Menatzeach goes down the Chatchila Gul Yarin Yodin and Mizgodin, they agitate in Muhammad. The Geborim Yodin and Menatzeach, but the valiant ones, they finish the battle. So the question was, what's the connection here with the battle of Milchama, with us making a bracha and answering Amen? Answer is the big battle. The battles with the Lumazeh. That's the point of it. That what's the only a bracha is like a wall with klippa shliti, and the klippa should not be nourished from the Eibush, from kedusha. Shafil bracha b'medei even b'medei which is b'chinas arichanpin, the highest level, eigur chora. As we said before, klippa can get its indicate there too, not just with this tremendous tzimtzumim. Pare can get his indicate from the hinder level of arichanpin. It's chetzenius harotz. Because there, darkness and light are equal. Just explain this a little bit. This chetzenius harotz, and I just mentioned, and that Pare can get the indicate. So the most given in Chassidus is right the spider. It's a pasuk actually. Shmom is b'yadayim v'hitispos, or tispos b'yadayim, v'hi b'heichli hamelech. Pasuk in Mishlei. That in your hand, you know, if it was at hand, you would grasp the spider and remove it. But in the king's palace, you see, she spins her web, and it's tolerated. Nobody notices. So because of in the house, yes, in your hand, yes, not. I mean, no, you're not tolerated. But in the house, I mean, in the palace, because of the reimamus of the grandeur of the palace, is not noticed. So what does this mean here? This is the chitzenius of arichanpin. What does it mean? The chitzenius harotzen versus pnimius harotzen. What's the chitzenius harotzen? Bria, the palace. What's the pnimius harotzen? That should live here together with his soulmates. That's you and I. Some of the chitzenius harotzen itself, building the grand palace. Not even noticed there. It doesn't change anything that there's a spider, not a spider. But if the king would bring to bed his pnimius harotzen and examine every detail of the palace, what do you want this palace for? What's it for? It's for him and his wife and children. No spider webs. When you invoke the what's this for and address that, what's the kavanah pnimius of this palace, every detail of it, then the spider is not tolerated. It's not the chitzonius as the building is going up itself. But then if we revisit the building for its inner purpose, then it's got to be absolutely perfectly clean and so on. So that's part of gets his unique mitzad the chitzonius arots in the bria. Again, the Moishe chitzonius arots in the previous mind is now the Moishe is working for anything which it means for an end. It's chitzonius arots. You're doing it. No one's compelling you. You're working. There's no gun to your head. It's chitzonius arots. If you could get the paycheck, make the profit, get the windfall without working, one wouldn't. Most people wouldn't. So that's chitzonius arots. Here too, the dira is chitzonius arots, and just the building proper, and its grandeur even is chitzonius arots, and compared to the pnimis arots, which is the koved hamelech. There's levels to pnimis arots, his koved, his melucha. So there's zero tolerance for anything that is even slightly off, when that is brought to bear on the details of the edifice. Another percent of the Moishe of the king is when there's an honor guard, and the king is walking by and looks at each soldier, then it's a whole different. No fleck is tolerated on the soldier's thing. The king knows that not in his presence they have, they're not walking around this way. Never mind during battle, just in general, it's tolerated there. But when the king's presence there, what are you there for? To reflect my glory? There's zero tolerance for any fleck. But when it's just the chitzonius arots, the king needs an army, but it's all building the army, but not a reflection of the melech himself, then these things are not, they're tolerated, not even noticed, they're irrelevant. A speck here, a speck there. Akoponim, so it's a milchama. Bracha is a milchama, there shouldn't be indika, even arich, there can be indika, right? We just said that Paroi gets its indika from the oiref, Oisius Paroi of Arichanpi. Lochin, let's continue. Yeah, by the number, there's no number there. Numberless. Third way down. Is Dalet. Lochin, yes. Tzorich binyan shel milchama, therefore we need milchama lifel to effect. Sheti hamshoch b'tzedak kedusha b'levad, that hamshoch should be only to kedusha. Binyan ze nasa al yedei hamavorech. So we're talking about arich, it's only pesach b'baruch. There's no amen here. There's bracha. So who is it? That's the mavarech, the blessed. Shazel yed pesach b'baruch. That's in pesach b'baruch. We're going to see later more detail. Let's just get the outline. I hope we do. Then there's amen aleph dafke. So this is, he's hinting here too. It would seem mashpia makabel, which is the classic paradox. The dafke, the makabel is mamshech from the etzem. The amen, that's malchus, general, the receiver. So the mashpia has to see to it that the mevorich, that it should go, that hashpah should be end up where it's supposed to be. That's the job of the mashpia. Then is the amen shamen ba'alav dafke shemir sham shochi lidak m'chinas hachachma. And there is the amen indicates that hamshach is not merely from chachma, which we explained earlier is base. The chachma yivne bayis, which is they should say the ishtalshalos, rather the mekabel, the omen is poyel alashon etoyse b'zegam b'chinas shalamani b'sed ishtalshalos. He draws into the samshacha, that which is even higher than ishtalshalos, the pnimius of elikos, As we said before, from the Medrash, that the Eibush to add something, it's more than the initial bracha, more than even his initial bracha. Right, exactly. Yosef and Binyamin and Avram, Keturah. So here too, the initial bracha is also the Eibishter, but now there's the T7 Murabalayikir that the Omen is Pearl, and that is even greater than the primary because it's a Gilui which is higher than Ishtalshalos. As we said before, that Arechampin, the Moshel for Arechampin is the Mayan itself, which comes in drops, the Kudus. It only expands in the river. And the further away from the Mayan, in fact, the greater the expansion, as we said earlier. But by the Mayan, the Chiddush is a kol Nekudah, and the Kodesh by Beifin Shekuli Yorov. That each Nekudah is infinite. Doesn't bring it here, but it's, if I'm not mistaken, brought in Chassidus that a person is toivel in a Mayan, then in theory, even a culture of water is enough, provided it can be all over his body. The whole Akbola, the having of Memsa, is only collected rainwater. Then it has to be completely submerged. Begashmis, because the water is Akbola, so in Akbola itself, you need enough water to cover it. But a Mayan, since Be'etzem, the water is, it's Mayim Chayim, it's Bligvul, therefore the limitations of Memsa, etc., don't apply. That's a halachic illustration of kol tipa v'tipa is bligvul. What's the word he used here? Kuli orch. Clear? Huh?
Baruch does that.
That's what he's saying.
When we looked at it, every drop that's going on the Baruch. That's
the
Baruch does.
He's saying Baruch now.
What does the Omen do?
No. Sorry. No. The Baruch filters Dam Shochav, and there's the transition from Bligvul to Gvul. But here the Omen is the Gilui of the Bligvul uncompromised. That's the Chiddush of the Omen. Clear? Baruch is Ishtalshalos. Period. And Ardich is high in Ishtalshalos. That's what the Omen reaches. The Hamshocha of Baruch starts in Chochmah. That's where it starts. It doesn't start in Ardich.
The whole level with Parley is all higher than the whole thing. That's he went up to the level that's that's a social level. The whole thing with Howard and Mark and Parley, he went to the highest level where they're all equal. Isn't that very high?
Yeah, he said you're right. He said before you need the union of Baruch. You besef Baruch. Yeah, the whole point is that not Be'er Kotzer is Arich, but like I said, it's Arich filtered. That's the chiluk. Arich filtered or Amen unfiltered. That seems to be the pshat. Let's look further. So Yafa became Ti Amshacha Rak L'Tzadak Dusha. Right, the point that you're just saying now that he's talking about Amen now. 1 second, let's get the flow. Then there's the end of Amen, which is let's look at the words. What was Baruch? Since Parik can get in Nika, Yesh Soyrich Binyan Shel Melchama, to be peiled that Amshacha should be B'Tzadak Dusha Bilvad. And that's done by Baruch. Then there's Amen, that's Aleph. Shemoyre Shamshacha Liloidak Mepchinas HaChachma. Which Amshacha? Ultimately from Arich, but it's filtered through Chachma. Through which is Reishis Ishtalshalos. Elish in the Teisib as a gam mipchina shalamayim mesed Ishtalshalos. Unfiltered. Here too, we have to see to there should be only inside Kedusha, that no foreigner should touch it. So the Zer, let's finish the ice and then draw conclusions. Zer, GODOL, and that's why the Amen is greater than Mevarech and Mevarech. Shepesech Mevarech in Yondai Sfiras HaChochma. Here, the overt level that's being nimshech is Chochma Shikvar HaSchola Seder Ishtalshalos, which is the beginning of Ishtalshalos. Yois HaSchola Belvad. And even though it's only the beginning of Ishtalshalos, meaning B'meila HaMedidav Akbala Nalis B'Yoser, it's a very lofty Medidav Akbala, because it's the beginning of Ishtalshalos. Harizekva Yinshem Medidav Akbala. Still, it's Medidav Akbala. So that's the of what? Of the Mevarech. So bottom line is the union of Mevarech is Amshocha of Baruch Haveis of Chachma of Ishtalshalos. Kivin Shakavon Hildi is like Dir Eloi Latz Moses Baruch. So again, so that's the Matbeya Kotzer. Again, that's the Hasbara that just has to be filtered through Chachma. But that's not the Kavan. Kavan is there should be Dir Eloi Latz Moses Baruch Tzach Yisam Shocha Ibchina Shulamayim Mididav Akbala Legamri. Not filtered. True Bligvul. Shezeh Inyan Doino Amen Shu Godol Yisim Navarech. That's Doino Amen. Elo Shetzach Liz Hakdomas HaMavarech. Before there can be the Doino Amen, there has to be the avoid of the Mavarech Shepesech Bebarech. Kadesh Hamshacha Shulamayim Mididav Akbala Tumshach Rach L'Tzadak Dushas. Now he's saying it's a combination of both.
Exactly.
That you need. So it's as if to say, this is what's not understood here is he's implying that there's no bracha without an amen. You're missing the whole point. So what is a bracha? There is a bracha without an amen. So a bracha without an amen would mean, again, we have to come back to what I'm saying. Bracha without an amen means the root of it is taka adich, but it's filtered through chachma. Baruch. When he says amen, he's payal that the gilui should be in a revealed and manifested way. The gilui of what? Of arich. But this itself, here's the point here, that this gilui should end up in Tzadak Kedusha, this tremendous gilui, this itself is the pu'ula of the Pesach B'Baruch. That's Dakdoma. As if to say, again, it really is implying here that a bracha without an amen is something else. The true bracha, to begin with, is an amen. The tachlis is the amen. But in order for the amen to be pale, it's inyan. Mimamshe from Arich, you have to have the Pesach B'Baruch. There should be nimshach, that's the bittul he said before, nimshach in Kedusha itself. Okay, tzarech in further. I think we should reserve our conclusion, asking kashas, until we learn much more, and then see. Now, just going to be on the receiving end. Let's wait and see, because there's more to come. There's a whole lot more to come. Let's continue what you say. The jigsaw puzzle a little bit. We can't draw a conclusion of what the picture is because we don't have all the pieces yet. So we'll need patience. However, the pull of the psich in Baruch, what is the Baruch effect? Of what? Of Arichtak is through Chachma. That the Chitzonim shouldn't have unique from Arich. The pu'ula of the Baruch is only Atzilus. Meaning, we didn't learn. The first Maimir, that's Fabrengen, explained, it seems, is that Atzilus is dominated all of the spheres by the end of this bitl of Chachma. So therefore what? So what's the Pa'ul of Baruch? This whole, that the Chitzonim should never Yenika, that's in Olam Atzilus. What does it mean? Olam Atzilus must begin to Besech Baruch. So in Atzilus, it's enough just to have the opening Baruch, Shaydez, and Nitchis Yenikas Chitzon, Me'abchina T'chashecha Ka'ira. So this will see to it that the Chitzonim should not get from the level of Kachashecha Ka'ira, Vein Tzerich B'chaisim B'Baruch. There's no need to conclude Baruch. Mabea Kotze pays for Baruch, Vein Chaisim Baruch. Mabea Kotze starts but doesn't conclude with it. In Yoneh, because that is to forestall what the Tchaisim Nikas Chitzonim Meribech at Tzimtzumim. When you need a Chaisim Baruch, we're talking about not Atzilus. Namshach goes all the way down. And there, Klippa, the Amshach is so small, the Klippa can be Mekablet. That's when you need a Chaisim Baruch. But you don't need a Chaisim Baruch and Atzilus, because there the problem is only that it's such a high level that Klippa shouldn't get a Yanik. Kevelam Atzilus like Gur Chora, as you see before, it's Arich. There's no evil. There cannot be, there's no problem of Ribi Tzimtzumim and Atzilus. Klippa has no place there. But Klippa can gorge from there, Dafka, because of Kachashecha Ka'ira. So therefore the need for Baruch. Conclusion. So the Pesach B'Baruch, but not Chaisim B'Baruch, is when the Amshacha is only as far as Atzilus. Why would that concern us? Let's continue. Is that clear somewhat? Guys, yeah? We're getting more detail now. Because we assumed that it was all from all the way down here. It's not, which probably answers our question before. If here, but anyway, let's just leave it, put it on the table. He's saying he added the Omna, this whole business of the Mevarech Peiling, that the Amshacha of Adich should be in Kedusha, not in Klippa, that's only Lagabe Atzilus. Atzilus doesn't need the second Baruch, because that's only, the second Baruch is at the end of the line, there's Ribi Tzimtzumim. There's no Ribi Tzimtzumim. Here is just to see that the Amshacha should be here and not there. That Parah shouldn't be able to get a Yanika because of its Reimus. That's what you need the Baruch for Pesach Baruch. Aval Kivin Shetachlis. Good. So Atzilus, thank you very much. So from Atzilus, here Klippa is not getting Yanika from Atzilus. That's the bottom line. Klippa doesn't get a Yanika from Atzilus. What's in the gear to us? Continues. That's only a stepping stone. Kavan is not Atzilus. Beilam is Biyah. Where does Hashem want the dir in Biyah Beyichad Beilam Asiyah? He wants the dir in this world. In the language of Tanya, it's a word of Klippus Sitrachra, which Hashem Goivrim by the Hashem have the upper hand. Kmavur Betanya. L'chein tzarech li'izgamin and the Chaisim Baruch. So the Tachlis is the second bracha, which is Chaisim Baruch. Shalei yiga b'izar here that a foreigner, the outsider should not touch it. And yeshagam b'ri be'ashpal lamata, that even when there's going to be tremendous hashpah and it comes to tremendous tzimtzumim down here, leiti yinika l'chitzoin. So it comes out that on the two brachas clearly, the first bracha is like a achana. The bracha that's Pesach Baruch is a achana kind of bracha. That's setting in motion. Atzilus is there's no Yinikin Chitzonim from Adich, and it goes where to Atzilus in Kedusha. So Atzilus is precludes the like Gur Chara. At that level, is no Yinikin to clip. But the problem is it's not the Kavan. Kavan should be Amshacha Lamata. So therefore, we have to, then the Chaisim Baruch is talking about not Atzilus, but the Amshacha that comes all the way Lamata did a Betachtoinim. And there's the problem is that Klippa has unique dafka because the Helen Vahester. So there too, there has to be the Chaisim Baruch. Huh?
There two or there?
Sorry?
You said there two.
There two at the end of the bracha. There also has to be a chayes. The language wasn't what? I mean to as another baruch, not just a baruch in the beginning, a baruch at the end.
So to sum it up.
What?
So to sum it up, the bays initiates.
Who?
The bays initiates the aleph, but once the aleph is engaged, you need the bays to make sure that it goes to the right place.
Okay, there's two bases.
Correct. The base, the initiation, aleph, it engages the aleph.
What's the initiation? But what is the initiation? The first base is that Tamshach should be Tatzilus. Only Atzilus gets Tamshach, not Parak.
Correct. But once Arich is engaged, and it can go everywhere, therefore the base of the initiation becomes now a guide that the aleph should not go to the wrong place.
Right. So, yeah, well, every bracha is Amshach of Arich. That's where it starts. So the first base is that it should be Nimshach where Natzilus. That's the first bracha. Chaysim Baruch is Amshacha that comes all the way down. Here there's another problem. The first problem of the need of a baruch to make sure it goes into Kedusha is because L'mayla Atzilus Arich, it's in the initial hashpa, because Kachashecha Kaira, there in the indirect way, Klipper could get a Yanika to make sure it doesn't, it goes to Atzilus. And there's another new problem emerges when Amshach has Nimshach all the way down into Biyan Asiyah, Ribu Tzimtzumim, a new problem of Klipper getting Yanika, not because of Kachashecha Kaira, because of the tremendous Tzimtzumim. So Chaysim Baruch is required when the Amshacha comes down all the way Lamata. It comes out that a bracha that's Chaysim Baruch is talking about Amshacha V'likus Lamata Nilam Hazeh. A bracha which is not Chaysim Baruch is talking about Amshacha and Atzilus only. That's what comes out so far. So the tachlis of the brachas is one that opens and starts with the baruch, because that's what the dirib tachtonim is. Huh?
You only need the beginning and end. What do you need that sales part?
I said don't, because the simple answer to your question is that you only have a mata when you have a maila. You need an atzilis in order to have a mata. It has it. So it's not the tachlis. It's not the tachlis. Kavan is not atzilis. So why is there atzilis? Because since he wants a dirib tachtonim, it has to be an elyonim. So there's atzilis. Which again, I think it's a little bit foolhardy to draw conclusions as to what is going on finally when Maimon is not finished. Let's keep on learning. See this further. Okay, so let's learn. Let's finish the ice over here. And this is what happened in Purim. What happened here was the whole nitzachim, that the signet really, again, this is the chesima, this is the second baruch. Nit le'Haman v'nit le'Mordechai was taken from Haman and given to Mordechai. Again, this base Haman, again, base bias. Bracha, nasati le'Mordechai. Then he says, Chashverosh to Esther, I gave the house of Haman to Mordechai. She says, that was at the end. This was a tremendous hell of a hester, tremendous tzimtzumim, Yidden are threatened, Klipper gets the upper hand, and what's the end? The chaysim, the seal, boom, is given to Mordechai, chaysim and Baruch, shleiti, even in the time of tremendous chayshech, huchshuru, chayshech, darkened, huchshuru, pneim shel Yisrael. So even there, Klipper is thwarted, and Chaysim Baruch, the Nes Purim. Okay, to be continued tomorrow.